we have video games with characters that are inside the video game.
Right.
Imagine a day where you can simulate a world so perfectly with life forms, humans, so well that you can recreate every single neurosynaptic thought you could have, but now you're in the simulation on the computer.
So,
including the perception of free will.
Okay, guys, you're watching this. You might live in a simulation. I might live in a simulation. Let's see what Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks about simulation and to the question of whether God exists. StarTalk. You can turn it down.
Chuck, I've been public on the fact that I'm waiting for someone to convince me that we don't live in a simulation.
I've heard you say it.
The arguments put forth have been quite convincing to me. And most of the best arguments are traceable to a guy named Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at the University of Oxford.
Okay.
Here's the argument. Ready?
Go ahead.
Our computing power is growing rapidly.
Right.
We create simulations of worlds. We have video games with characters that are inside the video game.
Right.
Imagine a day where you can simulate a world so perfectly with life forms, humans, so well that you can recreate every single neurosynaptic thought you could have, but now you're in the simulation on the computer.
So,
including the perception of free will.
Well, there you have it. Because so now you would have enough computing power to imbue the Sims inside of the program with all of the human traits that we possess now.
Correct. Not only our human traits, but the world.
But the world.
The world itself.
Right.
And you don't have to have all the world existing there at all times.
Right.
That might be an unrealistic amount of computing power.
Right.
You just need
enough of the world that they see around them.
That they see around them.
Right.
So you want to start digging, and
that's so funny.
And haven't put the Earth there. There's a flag that goes up in the programmer, and they say, need more Earth. So they put Earth beneath you while you can keep digging.
It's like the Truman Show.
Yeah, well, for example.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Or does Minecraft, you can build
or
stuff.
Minecraft.
Right.
Oh, that is Minecraft.
Right. Okay.
God, that guy's a brilliant genius. Okay.
So, and we went to the moon. It's okay, let's make sure the moon is there.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe that's why we can't travel faster than the speed of light. Because if we could, we'd be able to get to another galaxy
before they could program
that galaxy. So much fun.
So the programmer put in that limit.
Put in the limit.
Because that's the fastest they can get.
We can't program fast enough. So we put in a limiter. The speed of light is a limiter so that you can't get to the next thing before we build it.
All right, so let me finish. That's good.
Go ahead.
That's good, Chuck.
All right.
So let me finish this. So now that world evolves and they develop computing power.
Right.
And they say, we want to play video games.
So now we're going to make a world.
So then they make a world and they have sufficient computing power that they invent to create a whole universe within their computers.
Okay.
And then
they make a world.
And then they make a world all the way on down.
Right.
It could be hundreds, thousands, billions, infinite.
All right, so far this sounds like it still works.
That's fine. So now close your eyes, throw a dart. Which of these universes are you going to land in? The first one that's real, or the gazillion that are not?
What I love about this, and of course it's their job to philosophize about these kind of questions, and people often talk about philosophy departments and how strange they are in philosophy. If you've ever taken an intro to philosophy class, you'll know, like, oh, interesting, we're talking about something that is very interesting right now in class, and don't know what we're talking about. But what I love about this, and I think this is a fascinating conversation, of course, about existence and meaning and origins and all these huge questions that we have. The one piece about it that I find interesting is Neil deGrasse Tyson, of course, critiques Christians for believing things that there's no evidence for. And so it's like, well, you don't have any evidence for God. I only believe things that there's evidence for, it's concrete, and then I come to a conclusion, and that's kind of his whole shtick. And yet, and of course they're just having fun, but there's this, like, people believe in multiverse or simulated reality based on no evidence at all. Like even the argument that the reason our universe exists, because of course the fact that our universe exists as it does is so astronomically absurd mathematically that it actually exists, that it almost it's an impossibility that demands an answer. It demands a mind, somebody to have started it. Whatever begins to exist has to have a cause. The universe began to exist, ergo the universe has a cause, to the point where most people go, yeah, it's crazy. Let's come up with some other alternatives, explanations for why the universe exists. And of course, one of them is a multiverse, which is if we have billions and billions and billions and billions of potential universes, maybe one of those, or an infinite amount, maybe one of those is bound to exist, and that happens to be ours. And the point I'm trying to make is there's no evidence for this. There's no evidence for multiple universes. There's no evidence for an infinite amount of universes. There's just the hypothetical and then extrapolating out from there. And so why would I want to or need to believe in an infinite amount of universes that you have no evidence for, when all Christianity is asking you to do is believe in kind of one person that created one universe, that we don't have a ton of physical evidence to say this person exists, but there's pointers toward them. It's kind of a bigger faith position to believe in, and this is what they're going on about and saying maybe we could be simulations about these, and they're extrapolating on something that they have no evidence for. There's zero evidence that this simulated world exists, but his point is in the future it could, and I just find it interesting to go between both worlds of I'm going to critique people who don't just follow evidence that you can put in the scientific method, and they believe all these crazy things that you can't prove, and then they spend a lot of their time extrapolating about hypotheses that they have zero evidence for and they can't prove at all. And it's like, hey, which one? Are we allowed to do this? Great, awesome. Then let's give some legitimacy to when Christianity wants to do that versus just tossing it out because now we're talking about, this, and then we can just switch gears and do this for, an hour or whatever. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you got other science talk videos or other stuff about science that you want to ask me about, you can put it in the comments. I would love to see those videos and respond the best I can. Thanks for watching.